Previously on Ajeossi on tour, we dodged sunburns, revisited a culture park, found a bamboo tunnel to a hidden beach club, and spiritually bonded with nasi goreng. But the final chapter, this was something else. Welcome to Ajeossi on tour Bali Part 3. And Bali wasn't done with me yet. Roll my intro.
I love it when you do it like that. When you walk out wearing nothing but. I love it when we do it like that. You know that I'm right there, want you to. You make it look so easy like that. Then you try out my attention like.
Annyeonghaseyo, Thebak fam. Welcome back to Thebak Reacts TV, your one-stop shop for all things beats, bars, and of course, big Thebak energy. At this point in the trip, I thought we'd seen everything Bali had to offer. Heat, chaos, broken plans, and some unreal views. Turns out, we were just getting started. This was the part of the journey where everything went wrong again. But also, it's where I realized this is exactly the kind of trip that I live for. Are you ready? Chigimbuto, showtime! The day started early, 6 a.m. Sleep deprived but determined, we dragged ourselves to the port to catch a boat ride to Nusa, Penida, an island off the shore of the main core island of Bali. So we got there and we had to wait for over an hour until our boat was ready, because apparently it was peak season and everybody wanted to get to the island, and there were several tour companies pining for customers to purchase tickets and ride with them so that they could give them a tour of the island. Well, we had Arsa, and Arsa got us tickets in advance and connected with a fellow co-worker on Nusa Penida to drive us around and give us the full tour. Well, the boat ride? Yeah, not exactly chill. It was windy, the sea was moody, and the boat? Let's just say it was doing the cha-cha slide on the waves. Honestly though, I kind of enjoyed it. It felt like a free roller coaster with ocean views, and I've always been someone who enjoyed the ocean more than the sky, mainly because there's water beneath, and if anything, I know how to swim. So that was part of the reason why I felt at ease. But my partner, not so much. Let's just say the motion sickness arc was very real. But after an hour of bouncing, bracing, and praying to the travel gods, we made it to Nusa Penida. Cue dramatic sigh of relief. Well, the welcome scene was actually quite interesting because we arrive on the island, but our driver nowhere to be found. Yes, no call, no text, no "I'm on the way" update. We just stood there awkwardly, nervous and irritated, looking like confused K-drama side characters. Well, after a couple of back and forths with Arsa and trying to coordinate the entire trip, an hour later and growing existential dread, the guy shows up. And we finally hit the road. But then I realized something. I left my 360 camera at the port. Panic mode, full spiral. we drove back down to the port. I mean, get this, we were almost a quarter of our way through to our first destination, and we had to circle back. The roads were super narrow, and the roads were winding around these mountains. So you can imagine how long it actually took to get back to the port. But we did it anyway because I was not going to leave my 360 camera behind. But by some miracle, the camera was still very much there, and I couldn't believe it. So shout out to the universe, or maybe just good karma, okay? Well, camera secured. We hit the road again. Round 2, up the mountain. First stop, Kelingking Beach. This is one of Bali's most famous viewpoints, and for good reason. The walk to the cliffside was nice and sunny, and the cliffside looks like a T-Rex head rising out of the ocean. I'm not even kidding you when I say this, because the overhang was quite a sight, and it was majestic, unreal. All right, but it was also crowded. Like, everybody is here influencing something. That level crowded. They don't just let people hike down to the beach anymore, which honestly I was quite fine with. I was still emotionally recovering from the camera panic, so I could compromise and, just enjoy the view as it is. And that's what I did. Finally, it was our turn to climb up and see what Kelingking Beach had to offer. And I gotta say, it did not disappoint. The view from the top, worth every step of the climb up to the viewpoint. Just don't expect a quiet moment, because everybody's out there with their guides trying to take pictures or videos, and it can get a bit chaotic. So travel tip, plan this in advance. If you're planning to go to Kelingking Beach, make sure that you bring lots of water, okay? Bring your handy handheld fan if you've got one, and make sure you're ready to stand in a line as you wait to climb up to the viewpoint, because the wait can take up a lot of time. All right, so just giving you a fair warning. All right, better to be prepared, which is where the water comes in. And lucky enough, they actually have a very cool ice cream stall right below the viewpoint. So if you're feeling like the heat's getting to you and you're gonna melt like a popsicle, well, go ahead and make friends with the other popsicles inside the fridge. Maybe you might find one that's absolutely delicious, so much so that you actually forget that you're melting. Well, enough of that. Next stop, Broken Beach. Let me just say, the name is accurate. Well, when I say accurate, I mean the journey to get to the Broken Beach matches the name of the beach. Why? Because the roads getting there also broken. Broken roads, broken beach. Well, I'm talking about suspension level bumpiness when it comes to driving to the Broken Beach. It was a suspension test challenge, okay? We were constantly being peppered with bump after bump after bump. So much so, I felt like I was on a horse that was on something. Well, even Google Maps kind of gave up halfway and said good luck. It was that level of bumpiness. So anyway, we get to where we were finally going to get to. And I gotta say, this beach is massive. Epic. Like the Kelingking Beach, which was also massive, this place was massive in its own way. It was just quietly powerful. The reason is because there were 3 main points. The first point which we went to, was the carved rock opening made by the sea, hence giving this beach its infamous name. Then comes the iconic natural bridge, which is actually formed from this opening, so you could actually get a bird's eye view of the top of this stone bridge. The third point, which was actually quite a long walk away from the rock opening or the broken beach itself, was the panoramic Lover's Point, aka the spot where couples and fellow influencers take dramatic photos and single people just stare at the ocean like it's giving them life advice. Well, I took a few moments here just to breathe. It was hot. Handy handheld fan out in my hands, and it was sweaty, but it was beautiful. So we made the drenching, sweaty walk back to the car, and I gotta tell you, we had to climb these really steep, large sets of stairs, and it was a workout. It was a workout for my quads, I can tell you that. And lucky enough, I had water with me. I was staying hydrated and trying to stay cool as much as I could. So we made it back. And then it was time for lunch. And of course, Tebak fam, you guessed it. What was on the menu? Let me hear you say, nasi goreng. Yes, again. At this point, yep, I told you, it was just seamless. All right, it was automatic. I did not even have to look at the menu. All I had to do was show up and say, one nasi goreng, please. Boom. That's it. Right? It was that's how addicted I was. Okay. Anyway, we had to finish our final stop on Nusa Penida, which was Crystal Bay. Imagine this: wide open beach, soft sand, turquoise water, no plans, no schedules. Well, there was sort of a schedule, but you get what I'm saying. It was just the sound of the waves and that moment of stillness where your brain actually shuts off. Yeah, I needed that. Even if it was only for 45 minutes, right? So we finished that. It was beautiful. Took a lot of pictures there. And fast forward to the next day, which was our journey to Ubud. And of course, the first activity, ATV off-roading. Yeah, because nothing says relaxing vacation like full-blown jungle survival mode. The trail was insane. Steep hills, hidden waterfalls, narrow jungle paths, broken statues, and actual sinkholes. Yeah, it was raining, and on top of that, you couldn't even see the sinkholes. So we had to watch out for that as we were going through this trail. The mud was deep enough to eat your soul. Yeah. So a couple of moments where I thought, yeah, this is how I die, covered in dirt and screaming like an extra in an action movie. But we made it through. Somehow. Battle scarred, muddy, but smiling. After the ATV chaos, we returned and had a quick shower. They were kind enough to provide us with shower facilities so we could get cleaned up before our next and final stop, which was Mount Batur for lunch. Yeah, imagine sitting at a mountaintop restaurant looking out at a dormant volcano, surrounded by lush green fields and cloud-covered slopes. This is something you would actually see in travel vlogs. Well, this is a travel vlog as well, but you get what I'm saying. The feeling is just so surreal. was the kind of view that makes you forget the mud still drying on your feet. I was heat exhausted. I had no emotional energy left, but I sat there staring at nature and thinking, wow, this is the part I'll remember. We continue back to the hotel, and now it's our last night in Bali. Dinner was near the hotel, and this was the last outing with friends to a bar with live music. It rained. The band took requests. Yeah, everyone was relaxed, happy, and just present. It was that bittersweet kind of night where nothing big happened, but it somehow felt like everything. I didn't vlog much here. I just lived it. Bali broke me emotionally, physically, but I loved it anyway. Because that's what real travel does, right? It exhausts you. It frustrates you. It pushes your patience and tests your psyche. Also ruins your plans sometimes. But then it gives you moments you didn't know you needed. Life experience. So, thank you for coming along for this wild ride. From statue sunburns to ATV madness, you were there. Next stop, and again, we're not done. Next stop, Ajeossi on Tour, Volume 3. We're back in India, same chaos, and yes, I'm charging my 360 camera in advance this time. So stick around, subscribe if you haven't already, smash that like button, and I'll see you in the next chapter. This is your host, Domino from Tebak Reacts TV. Peace.